welcome back to the YouTube channel Pro Enzo Vids, and this afternoon's video is my official 2024 ladder prediction for the NRL season ahead. Every year, obviously it's very hard to predict the ladder. Like, it's very hard to nail everything, and obviously I'm not going to nail everything, so that's why it's impossible for anyone to get a 17 out of 17 prediction correct, especially when so much can happen. But yeah, obviously it's just a bit of fun, just a prediction, just my initial thoughts on teams, and nothing personal. Like, if I have your team outside the 8, it doesn't mean I hate that club, or doesn't mean I'm doing it because of a person. None of that. It's just my personal opinion, and I think people will get upset either way. Like, no matter where I have this club or have that club, people will get upset either way. So yeah, look, it's just part of it, I guess. But it'd be good fun actually doing the ladder predictor. Every year it's fun making these videos for you, and yeah, obviously it's a yearly trend on this YouTube channel, so it's going to be going yet again. So yeah, get keen, that's all I'll say, because it's going to be a very interesting ladder I've got. And as always, please be sure to like this video and do subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Yeah, look, my goal is to get to 3,900 subscribers. Smash that goal of 3,850, so thank you to all those new subscribers recently. But yeah, 3,900 is that new subscriber goal. So yeah, I guess any new support, any new subscribers would be greatly appreciated. But more importantly, enjoy the video, and yeah, it's going to be controversial, I will say that, just so you know. But more importantly, that don't get upset, because my prediction is just what I think at the end of the day. Anything can happen. Like, because I predict this club to finish that low, that club to finish up that high, doesn't mean it will happen. It's a prediction. So without further ado, let's start from 17 to first. So 17 I've got. So unfortunately for the West Tigers, I am predicting them to come 17th yet again and get their third consecutive wooden spoon, like the Parramatta Eels back in 2011, 2012, 2013. Look, the reason why I have Tigers at 17 again is because, I don't know, I just think there's not enough changes for me to really say that they're a permanent team to miss the wooden spoon, because obviously people are saying that Olam would be such a great buy. Having Aiden Caesar and his experience there, Jaden Sullivan there, and having a few exciting young players come to the club, yeah, it'd be good. And like I said on last week in my video, I said that the Tigers will be a club to watch one day, which I still think they will be, but that's more of a 2 to 3 years time type of video I made, not a present video like for this year. So they'll still be building, because I think they'll be building, but this wooden spoon here, this third one, will be probably part of them getting better, I feel like, because I still think their backline is very questionable. Like, it's not really a certain backline, I feel like. Obviously Bulldog will be fullback, and probably in the halves will be most likely, I'd say, Sullivan and probably Caesar, I'd say. And that's a pretty good fullback and halves pairing right there, and a hooker at Picorosia. So, it's a little bit better, I'd say. But I don't know. I think the team morale still needs to be a bit better, I feel like. It's not proven to be any better just yet. They're making some good changes though, like obviously getting rid of their backroom guys like Hangi Patelis and Pascoe both going is just one way up for the club, but I think it'll take time. Like, I think that this squad they currently have, it's probably experienced too much failure, and I think it needs to be still maintained and has a bit of maintenance, I'd say still. It still needs to be maintained, as in, like, it needs to undergo a few more changes, I feel like, for them to be a team that finishes it outside the bottom 4. Like, that's, in my opinion, I think they need a bit more changes to satisfy me to go up a bit more higher. But yeah, I think the Tigers will get the wooden spoon again. And yeah, look, their forward pack's really strong, but I don't know, that forward pack can only take them so far, in my opinion. So yeah, I think Tigers get the wooden spoon yet again, but it's all part of a learning curve, and that will make them better in the future. You just watch. Coming in 16th, we've got the St. George Illawarra Dragons. So it was a real toss-up between Dragons and the Tigers for the wooden spoon. But the only reason why I've got the Dragons just avoiding the wooden spoon is because of Shane Flanagan. So let's say Dragons had a very inexperienced coach instead of Flanagan, and I would have said they would have gotten the wooden spoon instead of the Tigers. But because it's Benji's first year at the Tigers. He'll probably have to take a bit of time to adjust, I feel like, but because Shane Flanagan's been around for so much longer and is known to be building clubs up. He's known to be a really good coach and a really successful one too. So, and obviously with the Dragons, it's gonna be a lot more harder than how he was at the Sharks, I feel like. But he's a smart enough coach for me to say that he will get the Dragons a few more wins this year. Not many more wins than they did last year, but a bit more wins that is a bit more positive, I guess you can say, even though they're finishing 16th. But it's just, I don't know. I think Flanagan will be a point of difference into why they don't get the wooden spoon. So that's my opinion there. But yeah, look, I guess the tough one is for me is who partners Hunt in the halves. Now, I know it's going to Kyle Flanagan, but see, the thing is with Kyle Flanagan is I don't mind him. I think he's a good kid, and I think he really is someone that gives 100% every game. But he's not that sort of guy that you'd think that would go really go close to top tier halves in the comp. Like, I know he's always had potential, and I know that the Roosters have sort of ruined him. I guess with the way he was treated there, but I don't know. I haven't seen enough of Kyle Flanagan to think that he will be that big change and big hope for the Dragons this year. I still think he needs a lot of support around him. And yeah, I think that the Dragons, there's not enough core players or enough talent for him to thrive, I reckon, from Kyle Flanagan, unfortunately. But not just that, I mean, Dragons had a season from hell. Like, their off-season's been arguably the worst in the comp because, they've lost Corey Allen to a season-ending ACL injury. They had Ronald Volkman for a day or two at the club. Ben Hunt's still not certain if he wants to stay or not. But I do believe he's committed for 2024, but 2025 is the question still. And yeah, I just think the Dragons, their forward pack is not great at all. I mean, you got Molo, or maybe Sele actually, who's okay, but Sele won't change that club, will he? But, a front row pairing of Sele and Laurie is not going to scare me or any other team, I don't think. And Jacob Little's good, but not a top tier hooker either. But I don't know. I think the Dragons have potential and they do have an alright backline. Like, I do like Zach Lomax, and I think Lomax is that type of player that will go well in the Flanagan. Same with Sully, I think. I think Sully looking a lot fitter at the off season too. So I think Flanagan's been working hard on him. But one thing I will say about the Dragons is that their defense will improve. I think their defense will be really strong under Flanagan, but just concerned about their attack and just the amount of talent they have in that team. There's not enough, I don't think, for them to really go close to the top 8, but that's what happened, 16th for the Dragons. Right, coming in 14th, and it's a really big drop-off compared to where they've been in the past. Like, obviously, this club is known to be a top 8 team regularly, and most of the time being a really competitive club. But yeah, I think it'll be a real drop-off here for the Canberra Raiders, and that's why I have the Raiders coming in 14th. Now, it's one that I would not be shocked if the Raiders finish close to the 8. I won't be shocked at all because I think Canberra have too good of a team to really struggle and be around the bottom. But the only reason why they're around this position is that because their 5/8 is still very uncertain and there's no proven 5/8. And especially losing Jack Wyden. Jack Wyden is such a big loss for that Canberra Raiders team. Like, some Canberra fans have already said that, Wyden's not that big of a loss anyway. He was sort of quiet around last year. And, yeah, I mean, I won't lie, he sort of was too. But, I mean, you're losing Wyden, who's been there for his whole career. You've lost Jared Croker, who, I know Croker's best footy's behind him, but you're losing a really good player that brings the guys together and really is a real glue to that team, in my opinion, Jared Croker. So you're going to be, experiencing Croker and Wyden. And, I think Josh Papali'i is getting a bit older too, and his form has really declined since 2020, in my opinion. And I think as well, I don't know, their fullback position too, like, I don't know who their fullback's going to be. It's either going to be Jordan Rapana, Seb Chris, Xavier Savage, or a young guy called Chevy Stewart, who's really good, and I think Ricky Stewart has a high opinion on him. So, I mean, look, that itself I'm not too sure about. And like, Jamal Fogarty is a good halfback, but Jamal Fogarty's not going to take you to the promised lands, is he? And their hooker position too is a bit of a concern. Like, I'm not sold on Zach Wolford, in my opinion. I think Wolford's alright, but I think Tom Starling and Danny Levi are just better, in my opinion. But yeah, look, I think Canberra on paper can do good things, but I just think there's not enough. There's not enough there for them to really be the same club as they were the past 2 years. I mean, think about it like this. I know Canberra have done well to still make the 8 and just scrape in there for the last 2 seasons, but I mean, clubs like that, they get exposed after a while because they just scrape in. Like, those sort of clubs don't deserve to be in the 8 when they just scrape in year in, year out and become pretenders come finals, you know. And look, credit to Canberra, because in 2022 they did go to Melbourne and beat the Storm, and in 2023 they went toe to toe with the Newcastle Knights in Newcastle. But I think it's a bit different now. I think Canberra are a bit more vulnerable than the past 2 seasons and before, and I think this is Ricky Stewart's toughest year yet in the green colours. So I think Canberra come 14th. Sorry, Bulldogs fans, the fall conspiracy in the year does not count this time. I've got the Bulldogs finishing in the bottom 4 yet again, finishing 14th in the ladder. Now, the Bulldogs obviously yet again have shown a clean slate. They've obviously cleaned out their roster again for literally the 4th time in a row. And yeah, there's some good pickups. I think Stephen Crichton's a big pickup for the Bulldogs, probably the best centre in the comp. And I mean, he better be playing centre, because if he's playing anywhere other than the centre, I don't think the Bulldogs will. Yeah, I don't think it'd be a good signing, to be honest. I think he's a centre only. Crichton can fill fullback, but they're not playing there. But I think guys like Drew Hutchinson's pretty good. He's a solid player. I think Bronson Xerri, when he's fit, can be a really good signing too. But to be fair, Bronson Xerri hasn't played in really 3-4 years, so you got to think it's going to take a bit of time for him to really pick up where he left off when he was a rookie at the Sharks. So don't put all your eggs in one basket for Xerri to be explosive this year. It's going to take time, in my opinion. But yeah, look, again, new signings, Serrato's 2nd year. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Bulldogs don't have. Look, they've got enough players to really get them competitive this year. I feel like there's enough players to really get more points. Like their attack, we all talk about their attack, and I think their attack will probably be another concern this year because they don't have a real halfback. And I think Matt Burton needs an actual good halfback who can steer the ship for him to be successful. And from what I'm hearing, they're going to put Burton at halfback, or he said halfback, but unless he didn't mean to say that, he did say he will be training a halfback this year. So if that's the case, well, we've seen how Burton has gone as a controlling player before. It does not work, and I don't think Burton at halfback is going to do them any favours one bit. Not a general, not a game manager. So they're going to struggle in that department of having a real good halfback. Look, the only guy I can really see taking the Bulldogs to success is Toby Sexton and Drew Hutchison. Other than that, I don't know, but even Hutchison and Sexton aren't enough for me, if I'm being honest, but we'll see anyway. But look, I don't know, their backline is looking okay, their forwards are okay, but I mean, their forwards in terms of the prop positions, like the back rowers are just overflowing the locker room. They've got too many back rows as we speak, but their forward pack in terms of the props they have, it's not enough. Like Max King, Liam Knight, workhorses, but there's no explosive prop. Like there's no premier prop in that forward pack. Like I won't be shocked that if they played Josh Curran at prop, but don't do that because Curran's not an upgrade to any of those guys either, in my opinion. I think Curran's a great lock, personally. But yeah, look, I don't know. The Bulldogs still need a good front rower or two or more. They need a real halfback too with Burton, and I think their fullback position is between Tracy and Taff, I feel like. But I think them two will be solid enough to make sure that position stays safe for now. But I don't know. I think the Bulldogs are going to take a bit of time. They're still. Yeah, I don't know. There's no continuity there. I don't think there's not enough bond or gel to really make them an instant threat. They're going to take a bit of time together, and it helped if Gus and the Bulldogs could stop, chopping and changing this and that if they have a unsuccessful season. It takes time. I think the Bulldogs will yet again struggle, so I've got them in 14th place. Right, the most controversial one so far, and I know Newcastle fans are not going to be happy when I say this, but for Newcastle Knights, will finish 13th in 2024. They will fall. That 2023 11-game winning streak, whatever it was a fluke in my opinion. It won't last into the new season. that momentum from last year will all be done and dusted. And yeah, I think the Knights are in for a tough season. Now, look, you might be saying, oh, they've got Ponga, they've got Hastings, you know how good they were towards the back end of the year. That's true, but I don't think Ponga's consistent enough to be a consistent fullback for them yet again. I mean, I don't know, his injury risk is very high still, I feel like. Great player, and I really do love Cowan when he's on, but don't think he's trustworthy enough, to be honest. And I think, you know, him and Hastings okay, but Hastings is not top halfback. I don't reckon personally. That's the harsh truth. He's not a top halfback. Look, the Knights have a good backline. I think guys like Best, Dane Gagai is still very solid, and Greg Mars had a breakout year last year, so expecting to find more tries down the sideline. But I know it's a winger, and everyone says a winger is not a big loss. In my opinion, it is for the Knights especially. Having no Dominic Young will be very different, I feel like, because Dominic Young was really good in support when there was a line break. Like, he was always getting involved, and he's a big body, really athletic body too. And whenever Ponga or someone made like a line break, he was always in support. And that wing position is very wide open. I think it's between Tom Jenkins and this young Dave Armstrong kid, which I've heard things about. Keep an eye on him, local kid. But yeah, I think you know, they're going to be Dom Young. I think Dom Young brought a lot more to that team than we all think, and I think he, you know, no one's going to... I mean, look, Marzi can score tries, but I don't think he has the same athletic ability as what Dom Young has. So I think it is Dom Young, I think. And the Knights forward pack is pretty good too. Like the Saifidi boys, Frizzell, Kai Pearce-Paul will be a big pickup for them. Jane Brayley is, I don't know, very 50-50. I feel like great player on his day, but I don't think he'll last there for long, to be honest. And fingers crossed, he's a great player too, and I think he might be starting at hooker if Brayley starts off slow from all these injuries he's had, which is pretty tough for the young man. But yeah, I don't know. Man, let's not forget, the Knights were competing for a wooden spoon at one stage until they had that moment of magic dust to get in that 11 winning streak, you know. They were nearly in the bottom four, nearly competing for a spoon. Let's not forget that. So, you know, a lot can change in the matter of months it was since they last played a game to now. So I don't believe in Newcastle. I don't believe in them. And I might be wrong for saying that, but I think at New Year, new Knights, and they won't continue that same form. So I think they'll drop off, and I think Adam O'Brien is, yeah, under a bit of pressure to keep his role, I feel like. Look, I don't know. The Knights board that don't seem to back O'Brien enough. Like, obviously in the past have come out publicly and said that, oh, O'Brien's job is under pressure. He has to win this many games to get us back in his support. You know, they've had that high expectation for a while. So I don't know. I just don't see it working, to be honest. But we'll see what happens. But Knights finished 13th. Coming in 12th, I've got the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. So I'd have a very bold one and one that is very controversial. Now, the Sharks are a team that is very notorious in making the top 8 every year. They are normally too good of a side to miss out, and that's true because they've proven that. Their backline is very good, and their forward pack is not too bad either. And people might laugh at me for saying this, and that's okay because it's my opinion, but I think Matt Moylan's loss will be a bit more seen than expected. You know, obviously Matty Moylan was slowing down and obviously wasn't the same player as what he was when he was younger, etc. But I don't think Braden Trindle or whoever their five is going to be is going to be enough to accommodate Nico Hines. Like, I don't think Hines is that sort of guy that will control the team. He's not that sort of guy. You know, Hines is more of a running player, more of a player that plays off the cuff, you know. I mean, his controlling skills have gotten better over the years, I feel like, but he's more of a player that plays off the cuff. Like, when I say play off the cuff, I mean plays off what he sees in front of him, and plays off just, you know, off his running game and off skill. He's not that guy that will direct players and, you know, tell them to do this, do that. He's not that sort of guy. I didn't see him as that guy anyway. You know, he's a bit like Matt Burton a little bit, but I think Hines is a bit more proven though. And the thing is though, my concern with the Sharks is that Braden Trindle and Nico Hines are so similar. They're both running players. Like, who's that organiser? That's the thing. You know, maybe Hines will shock me especially, and will actually turn out to be a really good halfback in organising stuff. But I don't know. I don't think Trindle and him are going to work. And that's why in my bold prediction series in part 1, and go check out my bold prediction series anyway on the channel. That's why I did say that during mid-season, Braden Trindle will not last here as the Sharks 5'8". He'll be eventually replaced by someone else, and I think that will still happen too. Watch out for young Niwai Peru. I think that's the one to look out for. Who could be the next 5'8" for the Sharks. So keep an eye on him. But it's a very tough one though. Like I sort of see the Sharks having a 2019 Warriors season, and when I say 2019 Warriors season, I mean this. When they lost Blake Green at the end of 2018, that player that really got the best out of Sean Johnson was great at foil for him. You know, he was a very steady player, and I think Matt Moylan is a bit like that too. Even though Matt Moylan's defense is a bit more on the opposite end of how good Blake Green's used to be, I think. But I just think this time around that Trindle and Hines are just not experienced enough to be directing a team around. Like, I can't see any of them directing a team around. And also, I feel like that with Talakai too. Like, I think Talakai will eventually move back to the back row. I can't see his centre experiment lasting for too much longer. Eventually Kyle Iro or someone will come knocking on his door to replace him in the centres. So I think the Sharks have a bit of question marks, to be honest. And seeing with the Sharks, like, they don't win any finals games. They're they're a bit like Canberra, very well known for being pretenders. I feel like they somehow scrape in the 8, but those sort of teams, like those teams that scrape in the 8, do not last long anyway and make it in the 8 again. Like, those teams that scrape him, they eventually knock themselves out and miss the 8 altogether. So I'm predicting that for the Sharks too. So got the Sharks in 12th. A very big call, I know, but I see it happening. Coming in 11th place now, I've got the Gold Coast Titans finishing 11th. And now this is one side that I won't be shocked if they made the top 8 this year. Like, I would not be surprised if they did somehow crack the 8, I think. But the reason why I've got the Titans finishing at 11th place is because, because I think the Titans are still yet to be proven, I feel like. I think the Titans have a lot of potential, a lot of promise, and a lot of good things going for them. Like, I think Des will be a great pickup for them, but trust me, from experience, and as a Manly fan, it may sound weird for me to say this about Des, and I know in the past people have questioned me on why I think this about Des, but I do, because I've seen it from experience when he was coaching us. But I'll say this, Des is not all that. He's not all that like we think he is. Like, Des is not the saviour. There's no way. I don't think he is. You know, he might get the best out of Fafita, might get the best out of Ford, and again, those two might really combine well to make them a Titans a force, maybe. But I think Des is really past the modern game. Like, I think Des is not the same coach he was a few years ago. People may say that, look, he was good for Manly and made them a better team for the first few years until they crashed and crumbled. That's true, but that's before the 6 again rule came in. And I think Des, in the past, has been too reliant on players, particularly Tom. I feel like Tom's brilliance got us to the top 4 in 2021, I'll be honest in saying that. And I will say that, as well as Des is also someone that doesn't really attract players either. Like, I don't think we'll see Des attract a, let's go Stephen Crichton caliber type player, or a, let's go a Sean Johnson type player. Like, Des will never attract that sort of player, in my opinion, and he's not that sort of guy that makes big signings anyway. He's always signing very mid players and okay players and stuff like that on potential. Yeah, and I think you know, Des will take time, I feel like, under the new rule, and he might be okay. He might be okay after all, but I think Des is not the coach we all think he is, and I think he will take the Titans to some good games and wins in 2024, but don't expect the best from the Titans this year, in my opinion. I guess the two concerning things for me are that they don't have a real fullback or halfback yet. Yeah, their 4-pack is literally a top 8 4-pack. Like Fenawaka, Verrills, Tino, Fafita, Fermor, and Liu at lock, or Aaron Clark. That's a top 8 4-pack, no doubt. And their backline is looking pretty good too, but their backline has a bit of concerns too. Like, I don't see Kelly or Brimson being stable centres, and I don't know if Khan Pereira. I like Khan Pereira, don't get me wrong, but there's always a chance of second year syndrome. I think could happen too. Let's just be real about that for a second too. And I think Sammy is replaceable on his day too. I don't think Sammy is a lock for that Titans team, to be honest. yeah, look, like I said before, it's that two concern things for me. I'm concerned about two things: their fullback position and their halfback position. I think Tanner Boyd will get the first nod for the halfback role over Tom Weaver, but their fullback role is very debatable. It's either between Keanu Kidney, who's a good young fullback and a really good young pocket rocket type player, or Dane Campbell, who has had a bit more opportunities at fullback but hasn't really been able to fulfill them. But maybe Des will get the best out of Campbell finally, who knows. But yeah, I think with the Titans, they're still a bit inconsistent in my opinion, and there's still a bit of question marks about their spine, I think, as well. But don't be shocked if they made the top 8. This is going to sound super harsh, and it's going to be probably one that gets everyone going crazy, but I've got the Sydney Roosters finishing 10th on the ladder. Now, I'll explain because this is a really big call, I know. And I know the Roosters are such a weird team. They can make top 4 with that team they have, and they can even make top 8 easily. They could even just slide it in there, and I wouldn't even notice the difference. But I don't know. There's just something about the Roosters that don't really inspire me this year. I don't know. I think Tedesco has always been a champion player, and I've always loved Teddy. Great player and such a champion. But I can't see him getting any better from the age he's getting on to, and just, the way he sort of played last year. I just don't think it's going to be sort of that sort of thing where he'll turn it around completely. I just think that's just old age. That's pretty much just losing form and confidence. And Luke Keary and Sam Walker, both, on their day, both great halves, but Keary's just a passenger, I feel like, sometimes. Honestly, a good player, but can be very invisible, I feel like. If the team's not playing well, he's very invisible, not there. He sort of rides a momentum type thing, Keary, in my opinion. And I think Sam Walker's the real keys to the Roosters, I feel like, because Sam Walker's obviously that player that really brings excitement, I feel like, but I think Walker's just, I don't know. The Roosters, look, they're a very weird team to get a read on. They're a team that can make top 4, make top 8, and even miss the top 8. I think Keary and Walker are 2 solid halves, but don't think they're good enough to crack the top 8. I think they're just, look, since Cooper Cronk left and since they lost all these big names in the past, they haven't been the same club. And to be fair, the Roosters the last couple of years have been clinching and hanging on to that 7th or 8th spot on the ladder, or 6th, and they've somehow made it, but they're not going to be there for too long, I don't think. And I know Dom Young and Young and Spencer Lena are big pickups, but I don't know. The Roosters make big pickups every year, and since 2021 they've made big signings, but they've just seemed to underperform in that team for some reason. I don't know how or why, but they seem to underperform somehow. So this is a really risky prediction. I know, having the Roosters 10th, but I just see it happening. I think Roosters are going to be in for a tough season. I think after those sort of years of clinching and just making the top 8, it's eventually going to break, and I think they will finish outside the top 8. Their team's stacked. They've got great depth, I know, but their spine to me is just not trustworthy enough to be a serious contender. I think Tedesco and Keary are on their last legs. Walker's good, but can't do much if the team's not playing well. And Brandon Smith can only do so much, and he was a flop of a signing last year too. So don't know how he will go any better this year. But look, I could be wrong. I definitely could be. It's a big call, I know, but I think Roosters will slip to 10th this year. Dear, oh dear. Okay, now before everyone explodes at me and has a go at me and calls me all the names under the sun, I have got reasons for this prediction, and this prediction is obviously a very big one because I could be the only person. There could be a few, but as I know and as I have seen other people's predictions, that I could be the only person that has the Broncos outside my top 8. And there's obviously reasons why I've got that happening. It's not for views. It's not for attention or anything like that. There's a genuine reason why I think the Broncos can miss the top 8 this year, and I've got a few reasons too. It's not like I'm just doing it for popularity purposes. No way. I'm doing it because I think it will happen, and I'll explain why. So Broncos 9th. Now, look, the Broncos obviously were the most improved team last year, along with the Warriors, and they made the grand final last year to only choke to the Panthers in the last 10 minutes, 26-24. But for some reason, I reckon the Broncos are in for second-year syndrome as a club. You know, obviously they're a very tight club, the Broncos. They're a very tight club, and they're a very good team in their day. But, like, something just tells me that they're going to be a bit like Cowboys of 2023 and Parramatta of 2023 especially, and Souths as well. They're going to be a lot like those sides, I feel like. And I think as well, the Broncos have lost a lot of quality. Now, everyone's going to say that, oh, their losses aren't even that big. Well, I guess they are, in my opinion. I think Herbie Farnworth's a big loss. Farnworth's an international centre. You know, Tony Staggs is a great player, but Farnworth's better, I feel like. He is. Farnworth has got a lot more skills, like a bigger skill set than Staggs. And Staggs is great, but he's never been a 2-year consistent player. Like, he's always been a 1-year consistent player, then the next year shits the bed. Now, I'm not saying that Staggs will do that, but I'm sort of thinking it may be like that case again, based on history. But Herbie's a big loss, and he'll be a great for Wayne and the Dolphins, I feel like. Thomas Flegler's a big blow too, a Queensland front rower, going to the Dolphins, and they've replaced him with literally no one. Like, Fletcher Baker's the only notable replacement that they've signed to replace him, but in all due respect to Fletcher Baker, he's not going to change that club. He's not a meter eater like Flegler is. He's not going to be that sort of physical forward up front. Like, I've seen nothing ever from Fletcher Baker to make me think that he's a good replacement for Flegler. No way. You know, Baker's alright, and he's definitely a decent player in his day, but he is not anywhere near the level of Thomas Flegler. No way. It could be Corey Jensen who starts there too, maybe Xavier Willison, but as well likely Jensen will start if it wasn't to be Baker. But either way, Haas is going to have a lot more pressure on him now, because I know Haas probably is one of the best front rowers in the game, and could be the best front rower in the game potentially too, can argue with that. But, you know, I think Haas is going to be a lot more, like, he's going to lose a bit more of a partner in crime, if that makes sense. Like, Flegler really took the pressure and workload off Payne Haas sometimes with his runs and stuff like that. And I think now of Haas being that guy that'll be so more dependent on now, because I don't see Jensen or Baker to have the same impact as Flegler does. You know, I think Haas will be a bit more dependent on this year to recapture his same form from last year, which I think Haas won't be able to do. Obviously, it will be good yet again, but I don't think he'll be the same player as well without Flegler there as well. So that's my opinion there. And I think as well, Kurt Capewell. Now, everyone's going to say Kurt Capewell's a washed-up player. He's old. Pierre Cura is a gun, and he'll be one of the best back rowers in the game. You just wait and see. To be fair, I've been waiting since 2021 for Pierre Cura to fire and do something. Like, Pierre Cura's been rated for a very long time now, and I've not seen anything for me to justify that he is a top player. He's okay, he's good, but he's not a star player. No way. What's told me that he's a star player? There's nothing that's told me he's a genuine threat and a good player. I mean, maybe now he's starting, getting a bit more games, or getting a bit more experience, a bit more comfortable in that starting position with Jordan Ricky in the back row. Maybe, but you got to think Kurt Capewell's history and impact in teams is not fake. Like, he's obviously been in the Sharks 2016 winning system. He's obviously been involved in the Panthers' redemption from missing the finals for a few years in a row to them getting to the grand finals in 2020 losing it, and then 2021 winning it. Obviously, the Broncos, they missed the finals in 2022, but when he joined the club with Adam Reynolds, they were two of the main reasons why the Broncos sort of redeemed themselves and got back to the top again. And yeah, 2023 is a perfect example. Like, Kurt Capewell, obviously, his experience and his knowledge and his just his work rate too. He was really big for the Broncos, and then he was a big part of the reason why I think they got to the grand final and top four as well. And now they're losing that guy who plays for Queensland too. I forgot to mention that, plays for Queensland too. You know, you don't just lose a Queensland representative and a grand final winner and a grand final player who's played plenty of big games before, and replace him with a rookie, Piakura, who has been rated since 2021 but hasn't done anything to make me think that he is a good replacement. I think the main guys in that four pack are Carrigan and Haas. Ricky's good, but I think Ricky's a bit overrated, to be honest. He's not going to back up his form, I feel like. But yeah, the keys are Carrigan and Haas to get success. And same with Adam Reynolds. Like, Adam Reynolds would be a really good... I think he's in for a really good season yet again, but I don't know. Like, I mean, losing to the Panthers twice in 3 years in a grand final, how do you think that's going to affect him going forward? It might affect him big time, to be honest. And I think Adam Reynolds is getting a bit older too, and his injuries are starting to worsen. Like, if he's getting an ankle or whatever he got at training right now at his age, it doesn't help him long term. It doesn't. It just doesn't, in my opinion. And it could be the start of something for a really uncomfortable season for Reynolds too. I still think it'll be good for the Broncos to get them to some good victories, but his impact won't be the same, I reckon. And yeah, I think there's enough talent there, but not enough for me to say they'll be a top 8 team yet again. I just think they'll have like a Cowboys or Eels or Rabbitohs type season. That's in my opinion. So Broncos 9th, that's a good explanation. On to the top 8 now, and the top 8 was so hard to predict. Like, I've been chopping and changing teams day by day, switching this team, going up and down. It's been very hard, but my heart's changed a few times and things have changed. So this is going to be now the top 8 I'm predicting for 2024. So coming in 8th, I've got the Parramatta Eels, and I can't stand Para, obviously. They're obviously my most disliked club because of the rivalry, obviously, so it makes sense. But just, I don't know. I can't see Parramatta missing the finals 2 years in a row with that team they've got. Like, I think Mitchell Moses and Dylan Brown are too good of a halves pairing to miss the finals 2 years in a row. Like, Moses, I don't like him that much, but he's a very good player when he's on. Dylan Brown, if he stays fit and if he gets back to his best form again, then Para are scary. They are scary if Dylan Brown can find consistency in his game. And their forward pack too, it's a good forward pack. Like, to be honest, it's a really good forward pack. Like Campbell Gillard and Pula up front. You got back row options in Sean Lane, Ryan Madison, Kelvis Lungi's that sort of player that might be going really well on the radar for too. Maybe Papali'i 2.0, but I've got concerns about Kelma, to be honest. His time at Manly wasn't that good, but hopefully at Parramatta he can find his feet there. And look, they've got Gufson at fullback, who's always giving 100%. Sevo's definitely fallen off a bit, but on his day could be a tremendous player still. Whooping Asini's a gun and will only get better. The only concern for me about the Eels is that their hooker position and their centre wing combination on that right hand side. Like, I don't know who their centre wing pairing will be. I mean, I hope Parramatta during trials can figure that out, because if they don't, well, it doesn't really help the team going forward, I feel like. That centre position is very open. It's between Morgan Harper, Bailey Simonson and Sean Russell, I feel like. Don't know who will get it, but it'll be one of them. On the wing, you've got guys like Hayes Dunster, Simonson, Russell, and I mean, I could just say this. If Isaac Lumilim plays on the wing for the Eels, then they'll be a lot more higher than expected, but we'll see. But I think I'm surprised I said it with a straight face about Lumilim. But I think Parramatta will be too good of a team to not make the 8 again. I think they will get there this year. So I think Parramatta will bounce back and they will just clinch into that top 8 spot. Coming in 7th, I've got the North Queensland Cowboys, and the Cowboys for me are going to be a big improver from last season. I know that last year was a really disappointing year for the Cowboys, just because they were so inconsistent, and that team was expected to do so much better than what they dished up last season. But I think this year for the Cowboys, I don't know. I think Cowboys will find their form once again and will recapture what they did in 2022. Not as good as 2022, but they'll show signs that they can be that team they were a few years ago. I feel like there's a lot of guys in that team that have points to prove. Like, I think Chad Townsend has big points to prove too. Townsend obviously is the key to the Cowboys having success. Like if he doesn't fire, then Cowboys will struggle. But if he does fire and if he does go well, then I think Cowboys are good enough to be a top 8 team. Tommy Dean re-signing until 2029 or 30, whatever it was, long-term deal anyway. They'll give him great confidence. I feel like, and they'll give him a lot of confidence to be that player that he was last year and the year before. Because he was still good last year when they missed the 8. I feel like. And yeah, I know I had the Cowboys missing the 8 last year, but the reason why I think I'll make it back in the 8 this year is just because I think their pack is very strong, and obviously got affected by the World Cup as well. Players returning late and stuff like that. But now they have everyone at training this time, and they're not delaying it by a few months for the big name players to come back, etc. I do think that this time they will be able to connect and just get that hard training into them in Townsville, and just get that sort of motivation to be that team they were in 2022 and get back to the finals arena yet again. I think Scott Drinkwater will yet again show why he is a Dalian contender, and he's my Dalian predicted player of the year. Scott Drinkwater. I think Drinky is a very good player, and I think that he's a player that not everyone will give enough credit to. I feel like he's a gun player, and if teams aren't careful, then I think he will exploit them, and he will be very scary when he's on. But look, I don't know, their team's just too good to miss the 8. Like their centre wingers are like Valame, Zach Weber's a good kid. Kyle Felt is solid as always, but not the same player, but very solid as always. Murray Salangi is a great player too. There's heaps of problems, and Val Holmes as well is probably one of the best defensive centres in the comp. Down year last year, but can easily get back to his best this year, as he knows that the expectations are high for this club, I think. But yeah, the Cowboys for me are a team that will go a lot better this year. I think they will find their feet yet again. They will make the 8. So Cowboys for 7th place. Alright, coming in 6th place is my boys, the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles. So I've got Manly coming back to the 8 after 2 years of missing it, and I think Manly are this year ready to make an impact, I feel like. And I know it might sound biased from my point of view, but you see most people having Manly in their top 4, and I'm not going that far and saying we'll be a top 4 team. It could be if Turbo stays fit and everything works out between Brooks and Cherry Evans, but I think I'll go the safer option and take 6. I feel like we'll get a home final either way, whatever happens, but I think 6 for Manly this year. And the reason why I think we'll finish as high as 6 is because I think we've really improved our depth. We've improved our team. I think the coaching staff and Siebes knows that there's something building at Manly, and we've got to really try and make sure this squad gets to where they should be, because this team is too good to be missing the finals 3 years in a row. Like if Manly miss the top 8 yet again this season, then I'm sorry, but big changes need to happen. Like big changes need to come into the fold, and yeah, things need to change. But look, thinking about it, Turbo when he's fit, Cherry Evans, he's still playing great footy at 35 years old. Luke Brooks is coming to Manly and playing in a better system in general, and he's got better players around him that are a bit more proven and have had success in the past compared to the Tigers. Ola Kawatu is a gun, and he is getting better game by game. It's a very good team we've got. I'll be honest, it's a good team. Like, Jason Saab is looking a lot bigger and fitter than ever. Tolu Cole and Ruben Garrick in the centres are 2 of the fastest players in the comp, or one of them at least. It's a very scary centre pairing too, Cole and Garrick, especially after what we saw them do to the Dolphins last year. If they find that same form, then yeah, watch out, be aware, I will say. And Jackson Paulo will probably start on the wing, to be honest, and I think Paulo is a really good player. He has a lot to prove too. I think he has the physical attributes to be a great player, just his mental, his mentality now will be a very interesting thing too. But yeah, look, I think Brooks, Turbo, Cherry Evans, Ola Kawatu, Croker, Paseka, Jake Trebojevic, Saab, Kola, Garrick, it's a really good core of players. It's a really good group of players, and it's a group of players that surely is good enough to make the top 8. Like, that's a good enough amount of players to make the top 8. And also, I will say that, yeah, Brooks will be big for us. I think Brooks will definitely thrive in this Manly team, and his running game with less pressure will definitely benefit him at the club. And as well, Josh Schuster now, yeah, arguably the most criticised player in the game, and obviously him and Brooks together will be very interesting to see how they do defend. So that's my only concern about them two, because I think historically both of them are very up and down defenders, but it can work out hopefully. It just depends on how they do go together. And look, shout out to the Levels podcast, which is hosted by both Willie Mason and Justin Horro. I mean, Willie Mason said this beautifully, I think. He's obviously not keen on the whole Brooks and Schuster combination, but if Schuster can get a bit more dirty, I mean dirty as in like getting into more physical work and more tackling and more running instead of passing every minute, then he'll be a really good back row for Brooks to just play off, I guess. A lot of skill, a lot of potential, just about nullifying it now. But yeah, and I think Nathan Brown and Matt Lodge are two great additions to our forward pack too. I think Brown is a player that has, shown he's a fantastic player in the past. Like back a few years ago, Nathan Brown was one of the best locks in the game. He was, and I think he comes to Manly now with a point to prove. After his time at the Roosters and how short that was, not many clubs were willing to give Nathan Brown a chance, except us. And I think Brown will be very thankful for that, and I think he will go a lot better in this team. Matt Lodge as well, when he's fit, after only a few games he played for us last year, like 3 games, had a huge impact. So when he's fit, he'll definitely make us a better team too. So, and yes, obviously Siebes is obviously a coach that needs to get this team up and going, but I'm pretty confident he will. So I think this Manly team is definitely a top 8 worthy. And yeah, I might sound biased, but I don't care. I think this team is good enough. So Manly for 6. All right, on to 5th place on the ladder now. I've got the South Sydney Rabbitohs to bounce back and make the top 8 in 2024, but just narrowly miss out on the top 4. Now, I'll give my reasons why. So, yes, obviously last year from round 11 onwards, there was a big drop-off from South Sydney, a very big drop-off, and it was very embarrassing for the club and team they've got. But I feel like this year the Rabbitohs will definitely be a bit more boosted with Jack Wyden being there, and he's playing in the centres, which in the past, Wyden's proven how good he is in the centres. And I think it'll be really good for guys like Latrell Mitchell, Cody Walker, and that whole just Indigenous connection too. He'll be really big for those boys. But for the whole squad too, he's that sort of player that will bring that sort of vibe to training that will get them back in the 8, I feel like. But I'm not saying top 4 just yet. And I will say this to everyone. South were in my top 4 literally the whole time I was predicting my ladder. Like I was like, yep, South's comfortably making my top 4 this year. They'll be in for a breakout season, but had a slight change of heart. And I think they'll finish just 5th in the ladder now, 5th. Like they'll just miss out. They could make top 4, but they just miss out just. And the main reason why I got the South finishing 5th is because of Lachlan Ilias. Like, I think Ilias is a great young kid, and I know people won't like me questioning Ilias and just not being so certain on him and talking him down. And trust me, I'm not talking him down. I'm not, because he's a good young kid and he's proven in the past he's a good halfback with a lot of things going right for him when he's on his day, and if the team's going well, he'll go well too. But I don't know, until Ilias proves that he can be, that real dominant halfback for the Rabbitohs, I just think they're not good enough to be top 4 just yet. I mean, their team's good enough to make top 4, don't get me wrong, but in these days, the halfback means everything, I feel like. So, a lot of pressure on Ilias, I feel like, but in this team, I mean, surely he goes a lot better with more experience under his belt, surely. But yeah, I think South's have got a great backline. Like, you give me a backline, Campbell Graham, Jack White, Latrell Mitchell, who's looking a lot fitter too. Tyrone Munro, a great young kid who's going to break out this year too. And Johnston is on the verge of breaking Kurt Irvine's record. And Cody Walker and Elise Haas and Cook at lock. And the forwards are like Tola, Kepi's a good pickup. I reckon for the Souths as well. Keon, Arrow, Talis Duncan's a great young kid. Murray. It's a really good crop of players, and really, you think that sort of squad they've got will make top 8 and even top 4, but I'll go with a safe option, tip them for 5th. I think they'll go close to the top 4, but don't be shocked they finish in the top 4 though. If you're a Dolphins fan, get excited, because your team, in my opinion, is making the top 4 this season. So coming in 4th, I've got the Dolphins, and the reasons why I've got the Dolphins this high from finishing the bottom 4 last year to the top 4, it's because of these reasons. Wayne Bennett's last year. Wayne Bennett will get the Dolphins playing out of their skins for him and playing for that jersey, playing for that improvement for 2024. Like, Wayne Bennett is no pushover. You know, a lot of people are saying that Dolphins will miss the 8 because their forward pack is aging and their halves not good enough. But I see it differently. I think Wayne Bennett will somehow get these players playing up and going, playing really well, playing with a lot of energy and stuff like that. And you watch Wayne Bennett in his final season at the Dolphins. Dolphins are not going to struggle. No, there's no way Bennett will accept failure for another year in a row for the Dolphins. You know, Katoa and Sullivan, obviously the concerns for the Dolphins, but their job is going to be pretty easy. You know, with the additions of Herbie Farnworth and Jake Averillo in the centres, and 2 great finishes in Jermaine Sarko, and keep an eye on this kid, Jack Bostock. You know, don't write him off. He's a great kid, and I think this is the year where he will break out and maybe go close to Daly and Rookie of the Year too. But if he's eligible. But yeah, look, O'Sullivan and Katoa's jobs will be really simple. Like, Katoa is a gun and has a lot of potential, and over time he will get a lot better. O'Sullivan has a lot of pressure on him, I know, but I think O'Sullivan's, you know, good enough to be a decent player and a good enough player to get the Dolphins to the top 4. And Wayne will get the best out of him. You know, Wayne's no idiot. He'll get the boys playing it for him this year, I have no doubt. And they'll definitely finish 2024 on a high note, in my opinion, before Wayne does leave. You know, their job's going to be pretty easy. Just get the ball out to Herbie Farnworth, Jake Averillo, to those fast boys, and Hammer at the back. And, you know, watch Hammer, Averillo, Herbie Farnworth. Those guys will get the ball plenty of times with speed, and they will be really hard to stop. And the Sarko and Bostock will just finish in the corner if they have to. Their 4-pack's good as well. And people may say it's aging, which it is, but I think if if Bennett was to tell a bunch of boys or players that it's now or never, I think guys like Felice Kafusi, Bromwich Brothers, Tom Gilbert, Thomas Flegler coming to the club is huge. He'll be great for the Dolphins 4-pack. And Marshall King was, I mean, the way Marshall King started last season was like nearly a daily looking player. Like, he started the year off so well last year. If he could be a bit lucky with injuries, watch out. He'll be a lot better this season, Marshall King. He's definitely one of the most improved players in the comp, in my opinion. But yeah, I think the Finns will go really well this year. Like, no matter what team they've got and how bad they may look in this position or whatever, do not underestimate Wayne Bennett, because when the Dolphins started the year last year off so well, you know, many people were thinking that Dolphins are a lot for their top 8. So if Dolphins can start the same way as they did at the start of 2023, well, there's no reason why they can't, you know, be that a lot more dangerous this year. If injuries are kind to them, then Dolphins are, in my opinion, a real top 8 team. But I'm going top 4 with a really bold call there. So make things exciting. Dolphins top 4, and I think Wayne will get the boys playing for him in his last season. So Dolphins, watch out. Coming in third, we've got the Melbourne Storm, and the Melbourne Storm for me are in for another good season, I feel like. And look, as bad as their 4-pack may seem, and not as good as what it was in the past, I think the Melbourne Storm will definitely be a force to be reckoned with again. And I think the Storm, under a Bellamy coach team, do not write them off. You know, they lost Cheese at one point, Josh Adokar, you know, Vunabalu, all these great, and Cameron Smith in the past, Billy Slater, but they still managed to stay in the top 8 and stay inside the top 5. And I think the Storm, yet again, if they're injury free and if they're lucky with injuries, well, they'll be top 6 somewhere at least. But I think they'll come third. So originally I was like, Storms missed the top 4. I know I said that in my bold prediction series, but now I take it back, and I know that sounds stupid now, but I went through the Storms team this afternoon and went over it a bit more, and again. It's a very solid team. It's a really strong team, and it's a team that I think will, you know, go yet again close to a premiership, as we all hate to hear that, but they will go close again, the Storm, in my opinion. Yes, Pappenhausen's a big key for the Storm. If he doesn't stay fit, then Storm are definitely fighting for a top 8 spot, I feel like. But if he does, well, and along with Munster, Hughes and Grant, it's a very good spine. It's a great spine. I really rate that spine. And that sort of spine will get them to success and make them a top 4 team too. I know their forwards are a bit weaker, I think Nelson and Welch are good enough to, because they've been through it all, Nelson and Welch, and they're two good enough front rowers to still be solid enough, I feel like. Yes, their back rowers are a concern with Katoa and Trent Liero, but I think Sean Blau will go really well for the Storm too. And whether he starts with Katoa or starts with Liero, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think Blau's a helpful addition to that back row vacancy. And Josh King a lock. Josh King's alright, but not the best option there, but he's solid enough and all around a decent player. I mean, he started lock last year and the Storm made top 4, so he's obviously doing something right. But look, all I'll say is this: don't write off the Storm. The Storm are a good enough side to still make top 4. I was very keen on them missing in top 4, but I think they're a good enough side to still be somewhat competitive and really hard to stop yet again. So yeah, Storm in my top 4, and they'll come third. Coming in second, I've got the Wars coming second, and the Warriors for me are yet again going to be a really good side this year. Now it's tough because I felt like from the very get-go of my predictions that either Broncos or the Warriors will miss the 8, and a lot more people are saying the Warriors will miss it compared to the Broncos, but I can see why. But I see it differently. The Warriors are a team that has a lot more expectations to do better because their team is a lot better than last year, in my opinion. You had Kurt Capel, who was big for the Broncos and big for many clubs in the past, playing many big games like grand finals and stuff like that. He's a proven player, and he's a Queensland Origin player too. So how the Warriors get worse with adding him to their team, I don't see how they get worse, to be honest. Losing Curran was big to the Bulldogs at the start, but I think having Kurt Capel there is a very big in for them, no doubt. And RTS coming back to the club. Look, don't expect the same RTS as he was before when he was last in the NRL, but because he might take time to find his feet again. But Roger Tuivasa-Sheck is a good enough player and a champion enough type player to get this Warriors team confidence up and going, and he's that sort of player that will get the best out of many of the young guys there too. He's a real player that many look up to, that's for sure. And I think it's Sean Johnson's final season too, because if you look at one of Sean Johnson's latest Instagram posts, he did say #last ride, and that can mean anything, but for me it feels more as if it's like his last season in 2024. So that's how I see it, as it's his last season, so season 2024. But look, the Wars are a good team. Look, the Warriors are very stacked everywhere. Their back line's very strong. Their forward pack's massive, with Fanua Blake still there for another year. Barnett, Capewell, Ford, Harris, Egan, a very good hooker, and off the bench you got Niokore, Tavago, Dylan Walker, and watch out for young Zion Mayu. Like, it'll be either him or Afoa for the bench spot, but either way, their forward pack is stacked, and that forward pack is, that's scary. It's scary. I know they sort of crumbled against big clubs last year, the Warriors, but with how calm Webster is and what type of coach Webster is, he sees the modern game so well. And I think the Warriors are that sort of team where they couldn't miss the 8, but at the same time, they haven't gone backwards. They haven't lost that many players. They've improved their roster, if anything. So I don't know how they go backwards in 2024 unless something really bad happens. But I think Warriors will be close to a premiership this season. It could be their year. It could be their year. And very boring, I know, but they're the best club in the comp, in my opinion. And there's not many clubs that can come close to how good the Panthers are right now. In first place, I've got the Penrith Panthers. So the Panthers, for me, are going to get another minor premiership, and they will be back in the top 4, finishing first yet again. Look, the Panthers are arguably, and probably are the best club in the comp. Like, their forward pack is still so dominant with Fisher Harris and Leota up front. Got guys like Scott Sorensen, who's a great back row for them. Liam Martin's very rock solid and is a Blues block player too. Isaiah Yeo is a real glue to that team. But yeah, after winning 3 comps in a row, you might be starting to think that, losing Crichton and Lena will be big for the Panthers. I don't know if they'll be the same. Well, I mean, once Luai goes, I think it'll be a different story. I think Luai's a bigger loss than them all when he does leave the Panthers in 2024 and goes to the Tigers in 2025 at the end of the year. But yeah, that team's still good. It's still a great team. It can literally win a 4th premiership, that Panthers team, I feel like. there's honestly not much more to say. They're a top club. They're a club to be feared for again. And they've got Cleary. As long as Cleary's playing good footy, then Panthers are a premiership contender again. That's all I'll say. Edwards is there. Taruva's a great player. Taylor May should fit in well. That's a concern for the Panthers. If Taylor May can bounce back from all these injuries and really replace Stephen Crichton well, because Stephen Crichton's the best centre of the comp. It's going to be really hard to replace him, but I think Panthers have enough quality to still be a top team. They can still maintain their brilliance even without Crichton and Lenu and losing a bit more players next year to Luai gone. But Luai's still there, so he'll definitely work well with Cleary yet again. But Panthers are they're too good. They're too good. No one comes close to them, and I think they will finish with another minor premiership and potentially a fourth premiership too. But there's my 2024 lab predictions. So very controversial, I know, very different compared to what other people have picked. But look, it's better than going very boring every year and predicting the same clubs to make the top 8. This top 8 will be very different this season. Like, this is a very intriguing season. A lot can happen. A lot will happen. And I think it's a season that not many people will see coming with clubs and how good they may go or how bad they may go. It's going to be a very weird season like last year, I feel like. It's as the great Gus Gould said, it's a very funny game of rugby league. So, expect the unexpected. And that's definitely how I base my ladder. Expect the unexpected. But we'll see what happens. But a bit of fun only, nothing serious, and just a prediction at the end of the day. So, hope you all enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And let me know your thoughts, honest thoughts only, in the comment section down below. Don't call me anything other than just any fair disagreements or agreements. It's just a prediction, guys. That's it. But thank you for watching, and have a good afternoon.